Learning how to master in the digital world requires that you have a basic knowledge of sample rate and bit depth. In this video, we're going to look at both. A sample rate refers to the speed at which a digital signal records snapshots of a wave, of an audio wave. Now, waves are always moving in time, so you have to take thousands of snapshots every second and get an accurate picture. Think of it as making a picture of a sound wave. Because these snapshots are frozen in time, we have to create many snapshots per second in order to play the digital game of connecting the dots. Because, well, that's exactly what the digital system does. It connects the dots. And if you have enough dots, meaning a high sample rate, then the resulting movie of the sound wave is pretty much, well, hopefully identical to the original wave. All right, let's take a picture of another wave that has a lot of high frequency content. But the sample rate is not quite high enough, meaning we're not taking enough snapshots per second to capture the wave. The resulting wave doesn't quite look anything like the original. That's why we use really high sample rates. It enables us to capture more accurately the higher frequencies. Higher frequencies require higher sample rates, and higher sample rates create more accurate sound files. The rule of thumb is the sample rate has to be at least double the highest frequency you want to record. And there's a lot of things that come into play, like the A to D and D to A conversion, but maybe we'll talk about that in another FreakVid. Because first, I want to talk about the depth. So what's bit depth after all? Why do we have to know about it? Bit depth determines the accuracy of the amplitude values that can be recorded in any given sample. So now we're not talking about frequency, right? We're talking about amplitude. 16-bit allows about 65,000 different levels of amplitude to be recorded at any given sample. Now that sounds like a lot of possible levels, right? I mean, 65,000. But 24-bit gives a walloping 16 million, almost 17 million different volume levels that could be recorded at any given sample. Now that's 250 times the resolution of 16-bit. It also gives you more so-called headroom, which we'll discuss in another video. But that resolution assures that the picture that you take of any given bit of audio is going to be really accurate. And let me show you what I mean. Let's go back to the sample graphic. The vertical lines show you exactly where in time the samples occur. Now, as I said before, for every sample, you have to record volume or amplitude, and that's where bit depth comes into play. If you don't have enough bits, then you don't have enough volume levels. And every one of these samples has to be rounded to the nearest volume level when we record. So by increasing the bit depth, you get more volume levels, ensuring that every time you take a sample, there's probably going to be a volume level to match it. And with 24-bit and 17 million different levels, if these samples don't have to be rounded to the nearest level, then you're going to get a pretty accurate recording of, well, your original audio. Have you ever walked on a beach where the sand is really fine and a little bit moist? When you plant your foot into this really fine, pliable sand, you get a very accurate picture of your foot. Every little grain of sand is like an audio sample, recording a snapshot of the contours of your foot. All of the curves of your toes and even the bottom of your foot get recorded with extreme accuracy. Now imagine, if you will, if your foot recording was done not in fine resolution sand, but in little resolution pebbles. What would the result look like? Well, all those fine contours would go away, and you end up with a picture of your foot that would kind of be the shape of a foot, but not really. It would be like a rough, grainy, pebbly impression. The same rules apply when you're recording sound. In the next video, we're going to look at bit depth in a bit more detail and its relationship to dynamic range. But for now, just keep these things in mind. Happy tweaking!